Most people, the second weight loss stalls, do this one exact thing. They eat less and lower their calories. And it's why they end up having their weight ultimately stall, why they become exhausted and tired with weight loss, and ultimately why they just don't see weight loss results. Before you lower your calories again, I want you to run through this 4-item checklist, because most of the times, calories are not your issue. This first point can be the difference between you eating 500 calories over your diet, or actually even eating 0 or 500 calories less than your diet, so ultimately leading you to 1 pound of weight loss a week. My wedding is coming up in 8 months, so we had to put together an entire budget planner to plan out our wedding, because we are having to use a lot of our own money to make sure that we are able to pay for the entire wedding. So we didn't have just unlimited money. We needed to make sure that we had a budget planner in place, and my fiance has been doing a phenomenal job with this. I would say I'm way worse at this. But ultimately, when you start planning a wedding, if you haven't done so, there is a lot that you have to plan for, and they are way more expensive than you think. People just end up spending way more. So you need to make sure that you are planning for the venue. So you have to actually include the venue in there, right? This ends up tending to be in the big chunk of your diet. So when you, or your diet, the money of the venue. So when you are planning for this budget, this is typically number one, right? Now, the second thing that we need to include in here is we need to include a caterer. So we need to make sure that we're having food, right? And that we're having alcohol. Like the alcohol is actually not even within this one for us, but we need to make sure that we have a budget for catering. We need to make sure that we have a budget for our day of coordinator. My fiance is doing a really good job of planning the entire wedding, but we need somebody on the day of to actually make sure that things run smooth. Another thing that we have to include into our budget is we need to make sure that we have a DJ. And then you start adding things like the flowers. A lot of people are gonna forget about flowers. And then you need to start adding things like our photography. And this is just 5 things that we have in our wedding budget planning right now. It is easy to get lost in the amount of things that you're gonna start buying for the wedding. Like you have to send out invitations. Is it gonna be electronic? Are you sending out an actual, like a full invitation? You also have to pay for this, right? Like this list starts to get more and more and more and more. And if you are not tracking this list and paying attention to a budget, it is extremely easy to go over your budget and to continuously just start adding things onto the wedding. And this is why weddings become so expensive, because people are willing to spend it and they probably don't track their budget that much to a T. So before you lower your calories, the first thing on your checklist should be is your tracking accuracy. Just like the wedding, we need to make sure that we are following a budget. We need to make sure that we are accurately tracking everything. If not, there's a very good chance that we're gonna go way over budget. Big problem when you are tracking is there are things that I call sneaky calories. So olive oil is a massive one that is a sneaky calorie. It is very easy to mistrack olive oil. A lot of times when people put olive oil in a pan, they put way more. So 1 serving of olive oil is about 120 calories. And this is small. This is not a big amount. So before you know it, you could literally double this amount, like 240 calories. And it could even be more than just doubling it. Literally just by simply adding way more olive oil. This is a sneaky calorie, and especially if you are not tracking it. Or peanut butter. Peanut butter is roughly like 190 calories in a serving. You know how easy it is to now just eat way more than you probably should have because it's a very calorically dense food, and literally double it. Now, if we added these two up, right, that's 120 extra calories basically plus 200. So basically about 300 to 400 calories in just one day. You could increase your amount without you even realizing it. Now, if you take this over a week standpoint, that is a pound almost of weight without you even realizing it. Or if we take a measuring cup, for example, it is very easy to just fill it over a little bit. And now that might not seem like a lot, but over a week or a month standpoint, that could be the difference between, like I said, a pound. That could be the difference between a few hundred calories by not having an exact measurement. So I recommend what you buy is you go on Amazon and you get one of those food scales where it is going to weigh things out by weight, not by the volume of this. This is gonna actually make tracking a lot easier too, so just find the cheapest one on Amazon. Or honestly, it's very easy just to forget about some calories. So it's very easy for you to potentially forget about little bites that you are having while you're making food, or that you are taking off your kids' plate, or it's very easy to forget about the licks that you are having. So making something using the spoon and licking that or taste testing it, right? Like these are calories and they do add up, but most people act like they're 0 calories or even just forget to track them. Or maybe you had a drink earlier in the day and you're forgetting to track those calories. These are easy things that we just forget to do. And over time, if we were to add all these up, like I said, it could literally be the difference of 400 to 500 calories, which could be a difference of a pound of weight loss a week. Now, if you aren't tracking calories accurately, then you shouldn't lower your calories to continue to try to lose weight. But if you are tracking accurately, then we need to move on to the second point in our checklist. Almost every online weight loss client of mine that comes to me comes with a massive problem, and when they fix this problem, losing weight and getting those results tend to be a lot easier. So I want you to think about this like these two people, person A and person B, who has the orange looking bowl cut with the big blue eyes. This person A, let's say they are eating roughly, let's say 1,700 calories, okay? And now let's say we have person B who is also eating 1,700 calories. Now, here's the thing. One of these ones, let's say person B, actually is seeing more weight loss success than person A, which shouldn't make any sense, right? Because they're eating the exact amount of calories. But here's why. Person A's diet is causing them to have increased hunger. They're having quicker digestion with their food. And since they have quicker digestion, they actually end up being full for not as long. Whereas person B, everything is the opposite. They have decreased hunger. Their digestion is actually slower, which is leading to them being full for much longer. Now, this should still mean if they're eating the same amount of calories that they lose weight. But here's the big issue. Person A that has these three things can hold that 1,700 calorie deficit or hold that 1,700 calories and be in a calorie deficit for a good chunk of time until they cave in. So this person tends to have a weekend where they go way overboard. We all have these weekends. I know you freaking do. You have a weekend where you eat way more than you probably should have, and then you let this spiral into the next day, even potentially because you say, I ruined all my progress. I'm just gonna eat more than I probably should. This person even probably has a couple days later in the month where they just go way overboard and do it. Whereas this person who has less hunger, their digestion slower, and they tend to be full for much longer, has less of these days where they slip up. They go way overboard. This person, even if they do have that one day, they don't let it spiral into the next day, and they should just get right back on track and don't make it worse than it already is. So person B, what they are doing is they're having diet that is high in protein. And when you have a higher protein diet, it's been proven by science that you have less hunger. Your digestion is actually slower. And when your body takes it, or when you eat more protein and your body takes longer to digest, you actually become full for longer, making it so you snack less and you want to eat less throughout the day. So literally, all I want you to do, I don't want you overcomplicating this, is you are now going to take your goal body weight and you are going to multiply it by 0.8. And this is going to be goal body weight in pounds. What this is going to do, it is going to give you a protein number to hit in grams every single day. Let's say that number is way too high and you are unable to hit that. Change that goal body weight and you're going to do it times 0.7 instead, okay? And what I want you now to do is, since you are now tracking accurately from checklist item number 1, you should already have your protein being tracked within an app that you are most likely using. And now you are going to hit that goal with protein every single day. If you're struggling to do so, you can make sure you have protein at every single meal and include a high protein snack, and try to get roughly around 60 to 80 grams of protein before noon. And this is going to make hitting that protein number a lot easier. And when you're able to do this, like I said, you will be like person B, making weight loss a lot easier in the long run. Now, if you need help figuring out your calories and figuring out your protein number, I have an entirely free calorie calculator that you can access in the link in the description. It also has a whole free mini course attached to it to teach you how to lose weight while using that calculator. After you use that free calorie calculator, and let's say you aren't hitting this protein number, then you shouldn't be lowering your calories right now. But let's say that you have hit this now. We are now going to move on to the third checklist item. Your diet could be perfect. You could be doing checklist items 1 and 2. You could make sure you're in a calorie deficit, making sure you're having high protein foods. You're limiting the amount of snacking that you are having. You're not like crazy hungry or starving all the flipping time. You're limiting the amount of times that you go out to eat or order food. You're making sure that you're just ultimately in a calorie deficit and super consistent. You could be perfect and still not losing weight if you are not doing this one thing. So I want you to think about this like your rent or like your bills for the month. You have a number roughly of what you hit every single month. So let's say this is total that number. So in this number, you probably are paying for your rent, and your rent is probably a big chunk of what you pay monthly for everything. And then in there, we'll just say it's like your utilities and water as well. Also, what you are probably paying for is you are probably paying for car insurance. If you have a car, you're probably paying for car insurance depending on where you live. It is more expensive. I live in the state of Florida. It's freaking expensive to have car insurance, but you're probably paying for that car insurance. I mean, if we even want to tag on to this as well, you are probably also paying for gas. I know for me, I also pay for tolls. I have to pay for tolls when I go over the bridge every single day. Now, another big expense, you are also paying for groceries. So especially now, groceries are freaking expensive, but you're also paying for that food. If you have a pet, you're paying for your pet. If you have any sort of streaming services like everybody does nowadays, you're probably paying for streaming services. You probably pay off your phone, you're paying for an internet bill. You're potentially paying for maybe the little time you go out to eat. You're paying for a good chunk, okay? And this is the type of person that I'm saying, if within this budget, like you're doing the bare minimum. Like let's say you don't have a lot of extra to spend. And let's just say you make about the same thing on a monthly basis. So let's say you don't have much wiggle room when it comes to how much money you make. Even though you're getting by, maybe your bank account doesn't have much extra in it. Maybe you're in a little bit of college debt, but let's say like you're getting by. You're not struggling every single month. You're struggling in the sense, like you still have a roof over your head, but let's say you're in this point where you're just trying to make ends meet. Since you don't have all that extra money to spend, what is the only way for you to now have extra money? You can't really save anymore. You can't really cut back on anything. So what do you now have to do? The only way for you to do so is by increasing the amount that you make on a monthly basis. So how would you do this? You would either do this by working more hours, or you would get a different job that would pay you more money. That is how you would have this little bit of extra money now every single month, and this would increase the more that you would make. Now, let's say I were to erase these numbers and erase the money here, and we were to now put this in weight loss terms. Let's say this was the amount of calories that you are doing to be in a deficit right now. So this is where you don't have, like you're nailing your diet. You're making sure that you're in a calorie deficit, but you don't have much room within there. Like you are making sure you're eating everything right. Like you are hitting the bare minimum, but you're really struggling with weight loss. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, is they have addressed one of the bigger issues and they can't figure out why things aren't working. Well, you need to make sure that you're increasing this one thing, which is be increasing your steps. So you need to increase the amount that you burn. A lot of people are getting under 10,000 steps. They're getting under 7,000 steps. They're not moving much. And this is a big, massive piece that they are missing. So checklist item number 3 that you need to make sure that you are doing is having some sort of step goal or step count, because it's going to increase the amount of calories that you burn. Now, steps are obviously important for so many other reasons than just burning calories. But you need to make sure you increase this number. You are already managing your diet and making sure that you don't overdo calories. So now we need to find them somewhere else, which is going to be through getting a step goal. So what you can do is take a look at your watch or your phone on your health app. And what I want you to do is now take that step number that is on there, the average that you get every single day, and increase that by 2,000 to 3,000. That's gonna allow you to hit a step goal. If you're somebody that likes to shoot big, shoot for 10,000 steps and hit that every single day. This is not just a couple days out of the week. If you're hitting 3 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week, this number is too high. You need to hit a goal that is consistent and you're able to do sustainably for the long term. Now, if you aren't getting enough steps, then you shouldn't lower your calories even more, because you don't have the stinking room. Let's say you are getting enough steps now, then we need to move on to checklist number 4. So now let's say that you are hitting checklist item number 1 of tracking accurately. You're hitting this checklist item number 2 of making sure you're having a high protein diet, and then you're hitting a step goal. Then if you're doing all 3 of these, then you need to listen to this. So the other day, I just found out that you can grow a pineapple in Florida. I had no clue that this was even a thing, but you can grow a pineapple. You just take the stem and you put it in the ground, and it eventually over time will grow as long as you give it water. So let's say I'm trying to grow this dang pineapple. So I plant the seed of the pineapple, right? I put it into the ground, or let's say I'm putting it into a pot here. If I were to sit here and in a couple weeks, maybe even a month, and I went back and looked at that thing, how far would the progress be? it would be very, very, very little. If you're impatient, a lot of people get pissed off and they're like, why do I already have the pineapple already? Knowing ahead of time, it's probably gonna take 8 months to actually see this. But a lot of people are impatient and they want to see this very fast. And this is where you go wrong with this fourth checklist. When you are trying to lose weight, if it has not been 3 to 4 weeks, you have not given it enough time yet. And I say this from a place of love. You are being impatient. If it's been 1 week, not enough time. 2 weeks, not enough time. 3 weeks, not enough time. Even maybe 4 weeks. If it's not been there, you're not in a plateau. You just haven't given this enough time yet. Even like I said, if you're doing all these things right. Let's say it has been 3 to 4 weeks. Let's say you have done all 4 of these things. Then it would be time to now decrease your calories or lower your calories by 200 to 300. Should not be a massive number. Take it down by just a little bit. And then you can repeat this checklist, give it some time, and see if you start to see results. Now, let's say you're doing these things, but you're struggling to know how to make a fat loss diet that actually sheds pounds. Then I want you to check out this next video that I have here. It teaches you how to build a fat loss diet that'll make sure you get weight loss results.